Hi friends, Jenny here. I'm also known as New York on some parts of the internet, and I'm here with another public live stream tutorial. I'm calling these one-take tutorials because they do not get any video editing. I just sit down and live stream a lesson on a particular ukulele skill or a particular song, maybe one of my arrangements, which is what I'm doing today, and then I release them onto YouTube for anybody who wants to watch them. I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to ukulele content, so thanks for being here. There's so many great teachers out there. This is a song I don't think I've seen anyone else teach, but if there's another tutorial out there, then that's awesome because it's such a good song. There deserve to be more than one. And if you don't like the way that I've arranged it, feel free to do your own thing because that's one of the things I'm here to do, is to encourage people to make songs their own. Any way that I teach a song is not meant to be the only way you should ever play it. It's just meant to be a starting point for people who either were inspired by my cover or looking for a tutorial on the song or just want to explore putting arrangements together. And that's one of the things I really like to do. A big thank you goes to my Patreon patrons who help make videos like this possible. I want to release as much as possible just out there for anyone to watch and learn from, but I have all these jobs that I have to do in order to pay my rent and things like that. So ukulele is a hobby for me, but I'd like it to be more. My Patreon patrons help me spend a little more time doing ukulele content every month, and if you'd like to join them for one or more months, please feel free. I'd love to have you. And I always have exclusive Patreon content for patrons every month, as well as public stuff too. So this is my public tutorial for the month of August. It's still August. And whenever you're listening to this, there'll be lots of stuff that you can check out on Patreon and just in general here on my YouTube channel. Lots of covers, lots of original songs, and I have a whole spreadsheet of where you can find different tutorials, the public ones as well as the Patreon ones, and I'm always happy to answer questions if you leave them in the comments. So let me know what you're looking for. Let me know what song you can't find teachers teaching on ukulele. Maybe this is one of them. This song is Sinéad O'Connor's song, Black Boys on Mopeds, which not everybody knows, but I heard when I was quite young, a teenager, and I just thought it was a gorgeous song. I'm pulling up my song sheet for it right now. I have played this song for a number of years, but I haven't seen a lot of other people playing it, and that's part of the reason I decided to teach it today, because I just feel like it's one of those songs that the people out there who know that this is a great song. And with Sinéad O'Connor's unfortunate recent death, we're all thinking about her even more than we might have if we were already fans of her music. So in memory and in honor of Sinéad O'Connor's artistry and her life, which of course she was about more than her music, but I wanted to celebrate her by teaching some of her music this month. I have taught a patron exclusive tutorial on Nothing Compares to You, inspired by her famous version, and then I'm going to teach this one for everybody else on YouTube. So this is a song that luckily only has a couple of chords. It's one I arranged for myself really early on, so this is an older chord sheet of mine. You can get it from my website, newyork.com, or I'll also put a link in the description box to the Google Drive post of this, and you can pick it up for free. I would encourage you to have a copy of it on your end, whether it's on screen or whether you have it printed out, so that you will be able to follow along, because I'm not going to put it on the screen the whole time I'm teaching this. I like to have times when you'll be able to see my hands a little closer up and times when you'll be able to see the chords. So I'll kind of go back and forth, but that is why it's probably best if you have a copy on your end as well, and it's totally free. So grab that if you like before you get started. I'll kind of teach it sort of incrementally, and what I like to tell my patrons is I like to teach things in layers. So hopefully, especially because this one has simple chords, you'll be able to play it in a more simple version, or you can add the strum that I'm going to teach you if you like that strum, or do your own thing. As I said, I encourage that. So let me share the chords on the screen, and I do have a cover of this one. It's also linked in the description box. If you want to hear how I played it, then you can. This may not be exactly the same arrangement as how I played it. I often update things when I put them out for people to listen to, or maybe I streamline them because maybe I made choices that are a little trickier or that I don't agree with anymore. So sometimes they change, they may even change key, but this is roughly how I would play this now. And I do have 4 free, open to anybody, mixed level and beginner play-alongs every month on Zoom and on YouTube. And this is in, I believe, just the mixed level songbook. I don't think it's in the beginner songbook. It might be though, because the chords are so simple. So if you like this one and you want to come play it with me live, join me in one of those play-alongs and we can play it together. All right, so let's look at the chords. There's just 3 chords, super easy. There's a C, there's a G, there's an F. I'm actually going to take the chords back off the screen and just show you, in case you're a brand new beginner, how I'm playing those chords. I'm playing them the simplest way for each of them, but if you know fancier versions, of course, you can play different versions of these chords. The C is that one finger on your A string, 3rd fret. I like to play it with my ring finger a lot of the time because it makes moving to other chords simpler, but sometimes that changes depending on what chord I'm moving to next, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Then G, a 3-finger G, is played for me with my index finger on my C string, 2nd fret, my middle finger on my A string, 2nd fret, and my ring finger hooking around a little bit here. You don't have to curve your hand this far. My ring finger hooking around here to the 3rd fret of the E string. That's your G chord. And then you've got a 2-finger F chord, also very simple for beginners to pick up. Middle finger on the G string, 2nd fret, which is an A note, and then the index finger is on the 1st fret of the E string, which is an F. So that is my F chord. So those are the only chords you need for this song, which is nice. Especially because in a song like this, and I said this about Nothing Compares to You in the tutorial as well, which I recorded earlier today, this is a song where it's about the emotion of the song, not about fancy chord changes and things like that. So you want to be able to lean into the emotion, which is nicer to do when the song's a little easier to play. So let's look at how this arrangement works. It has a little bit of an intro. I've got 4 chords here, C, G, F, F. You play that line twice. That's the intro. Then I have the verse. And the verse is kind of in 2 stanzas, so there is repetition between those 2 stanzas. So you see, you've got the C, G, F on the 1st line of the 1st stanza and on the 2nd line of the 2nd stanza. And in fact, those 2 stanzas are pretty much the same. The chords are going to fall in roughly the same place. There's just, of course, different lyrics. And then when you get to the end of the 2nd stanza of the verse, you could call that verses 1 and 2, or you could call it all verse 1. It really doesn't matter how you break that down. Then there's a chorus. So the chorus is the England's Not the Mythical Land. That's where that comes in. And you're going to repeat that at the end of the song. So that has it has the same chords, but in a different order a lot of the time. Let's see, here we go. C, G, F, F. No, actually, it's the same order. So that's awesome. Once you learn this progression, C, G, F, F, it's the same all the way through, which is nice if you're trying to memorize things. It doesn't need to be your goal, but I know a lot of the time people are trying to memorize. So C, G, F, F, all the way through. The tune is going to change on the chorus. And then you'll have the either double verse or 2 verses, however you want to think about it, another chorus. And then the outro that I chose, which is similar to the original, is to do 1 more verse, those verse chords C, G, F, F, but just 1 stanza. You know, you wouldn't do it twice unless you wanted to, with ooze. And if you've heard the original, you'll know what I mean, but I'll also show you as we go through this. So let me take this off the screen again and show you a little bit closer view of my hands as I work through these chords in that order. And again, C, G, F, F, that's the way it is through the whole song, so that's really nice. You only have to learn 1 progression. But I often like to strategize with people. You can skip ahead if you don't need this part. I'll put in timestamps. But how do you move from one chord to the next in the most efficient way that causes you the least stress? This can be a little different for everyone, and how I do it may not work for you. We all have different sort of ability and mobility in our fingers. But here's my suggestion. I would suggest starting out by playing that C chord, that 1-finger C, with your ring finger. So with your ring finger on that C chord, which is also a C note, you are going to be able to move into your G more easily, in my opinion. So for G, I'm going to put my middle finger down on the A string, 2nd fret, and my index finger down on the C string, 2nd fret. And then all I need to do is move this finger, where I was making the C chord, down or towards my face, up, however you want to think of that, up 1, and that's, of course, if you're a right-handed player. If you're a lefty, you have to reverse everything. You're going to move that ring finger onto the E string, 3rd fret. So going from the C to the G, if you're already playing the C with your ring finger, for me, is a little bit less movement than doing it another way. So that's how I like to do it. Then from that G, I'm going to move to the F. And to do that, I'm probably going to lead with my index finger. This is something I talk about in a lot of my tutorials, leading with a particular finger, swiveling on a finger that's going to stay in place, or sliding with a finger that can go nearby. Here I'm going to have to pick up my index, but I can move it over to this 1st fret of the E string, and that helps me not have to move too far. And then once I've planted that there, I'm swiveling or swinging my middle finger down to hit the G string on the 2nd fret. So again, with any of these changes, if it helps you to practice them, just to drill that one change, you're going to do that a lot in this song. G to C to G, G to F. Then you're going to stay on the F for another measure. And then the only other movement in this song as far as your chording hand goes is to go back to the C. And again, I just reach out with my ring finger and land back on the C, lift up my F fingers, and then I'm ready to do another pattern, C, G, F, F. So I'm back to C. It's a good thing to practice if any of that is difficult for you. You can just practice moving between two of the chords, or you can practice, maybe do 2 strums, 4 strums per chord, 1, 2, G, 2, F, 2, F, 2, C, 2. I'd probably do that, so you get the whole range there. C, G, F, F, C, and that brings you back to the top again. You could just keep going through that way. C, C, G, G, F, 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 C, C, G, G, F, 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 and just keep doing that as many times as is helpful to you. Now, of course, you can always play a song like this just on single strums. You can just strum once for each of those chords that I've written into this song. And if that is the level that you're at, then I would encourage you just to keep doing that through the rest of this tutorial. Ignore me when I say, oh, try this strum, oh, try this. Just keep doing your single strums, and when you're ready for it, try another strumming pattern. But that single strum is not a cop-out. It works really nicely for this song, and of course, you can do it that way. Now, when we think about the rhythm of the song, if you're at all familiar with it, it kind of goes, Margaret Thatcher on TV. There's a little pulse. Shocked by the deaths that took place in Beijing. Now, I have not looked this one up in terms of the piano music, which is often where I look for a time signature, but it feels to me like it might be in 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's also possible it's in 6. The strum that I used for this is built around that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 pulse. And if you feel a different pulse, of course you can pull your strum in a different direction, or you can pick around a different rhythm. But the way that I'm feeling this song, I ended up going with a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, and 3, and 1. I'm doing it on the C chord. The entire song. I've marked a few places where I like to do a single strum. I usually mark those on the page with a /. So here's one where, let's look here, oh here, please, which is a long held out note, and then after it I've written no chord because there's a little bit of a weight in the original, and then she continues. Same thing with the last chord. I would just do a single strum on that one and let it hang in the air. So you can interpret a lot more of these as single strums if you want. You could end in different places, like on different stanzas or on choruses. You could end with a single strum wherever it feels right to you. Sometimes people will do that at the end of an intro, for example. They might do the last chord of an intro with a single strum. But this is one where when I was writing it up, I just put a few in. So you'll see a few in there. So let's just look at the strum slowly through one verse, or one half of one of the verses, however you're thinking about it, and the chorus. So let's start with I've Said This Before Now and go through the chorus and just see how that works for us on that strum. Let's do it about this tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, C. I've said this before now. You said I was childish, and you'll say it now. Remember what I told you. If they hated me, they will hate you. 2, 3, 4. And actually England, so there you do have a few extra Fs. So I was wrong when I said it was the exact same chord progression all the way through. You throw in some extra Fs at the end there. But the England's going to need to come in on that last F. So hate you, 2, 3. England's not the mythical land. is an older chord sheet. I'm going to make a little note for myself here that I want to come back in and put the F actually on the next line. I'm going to make an update to this. I'll put it back on Google Drive and change the link here when I've gotten a chance to update it. Your F's going to come in on the glund of England. England's is where that last F actually comes in. So it will make more sense when we're doing it through, but when I was first making this chord chart, I just wasn't sophisticated enough to think about that difference. So I think I covered this in 2019 or something like that, and I've learned a little bit since then. So that is probably how I will rewrite it when I update my songbook next. All right, and on the last, and the end, again, it's just going to be another verse like that with the ooh. So that will basically be those 4 lines again with oohs over the top of them. All right, anything else I want to say about this one? You could, of course, adapt this to lots of different strumming patterns, but think 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like that's me kind of just playing around with ideas of picking. If you wanted to pick this one, I'm kind of picking all the strings, and then I'm going inside, outside. You could do something like that. That's just one thing off the top of my head. Let's see how that would sound just with the maybe with the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. England's not the mythical land of Madame George and Roses. It's the home of police who kill black boys on mopeds, and I love my boy. That's why I'm leaving. I don't want them to be aware that there's any such thing as grieving. The cool thing about intuitive strumming, and I do have, or picking, and I do have a video on intuitive strumming if you want to check out my ideas around that concept, is that as long as you're holding the right chord with your chording hand, your fretting hand, and you're staying on the beat and changing chords where you need to change chords, your fingers can do a lot of different things and have it still make sense. Like if you think to yourself, I'm going to pick G, pluck, pluck on the E and A, pluck, 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 1, 2, 3. And then you accidentally pluck on the C, it's still going to be in tune with what you're doing. In fact, you can go bounce back and forth on purpose like that. So you can really make different choices, and you can make mistakes. And if you're staying in rhythm and you're staying with the chords that you're supposed to be on, you'll still be able to sing along or have someone else sing along, and that's a nice thing to know. The other thing I should have mentioned is that I'm playing this on a high G, and I believe that's how I played it originally because I maybe only had a high G ukulele at that point. Now I have a couple, and I do have one that's tuned to low G that I often use for teaching and for arranging, but I really like the high sound on this song too. So I very intentionally picked my high G back up to do this tutorial because I really like the high G sound. It'll sound beautiful on low G as well, and I've led this in several play-alongs probably. We don't do this song too often, but I think that I've done it before on low G as well. It should sound nice on low G as well. So let's do a playthrough now. This doesn't have to be a super long tutorial because it's not a very complicated arrangement, but if I've missed something, let me know. I'm going to put timestamps in again so you can just skip straight to the playthrough if you're working on this over and over again, and you can always speed me up or slow me down using that little gear icon on the YouTube screen. But let's play through the whole song. Let's do it twice. Sometimes I like to do this. I'll play it once with the chords on the screen in case you don't have them on your end, and then I'll play it once without the chords on the screen. And if only one of those ways is helpful to you, you can skip the other one, but let's see what we discover. Sometimes I discover something I've left out as I'm playing through it. So let's try this here. We'll take it, it isn't a very fast song, so we don't need to take it a lot under tempo to play it for a run through, but I will make sure not to rush. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to do this intro twice. Here's the second F. Now do the line again. your run through with the chords on the screen. I don't know if we need to do a run through with the chords off the screen, but since I said I would, I will, and then this tutorial will be over. You know, you can skip this if you don't need it. I will just say thank you again to my patrons for making this possible. Thank you to everybody who likes and comments and subscribes to my YouTube page as well. Even if you're never able to support me with a dime, I still really appreciate the way that you interact with my content, and it's fun to get to see the comments and the questions pop up, and also the requests. So let me know if there are other songs, especially ones I've covered or ones I lead in my jams, that you would like to have me teach. And do come and join us in one of our public play-alongs, because they're really fun, and I try to have 4 every month for as long as I can, and the patrons help support that too. So we'll keep those going as long as I can. Let me just finish here with one last run through of this song with the chords off the screen in case you want to see my fingers a little more closely, and then I'm out of here, and I'll see you again soon. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you could play this intro with each of these chords getting 2 patterns or 1 pattern. I like to do 2, even though in the song sometimes they only get 1, because it lengthens the intro a little bit, gives you time to get into your strum. But you might have noticed that it starts out with 2 per chord and then switches to 1 on a lot of those in the verses. Here we go. Thanks so much for being here. See you at the next one. I'll see you on the internet. Have a great rest of your day or evening, wherever you are. Thanks again for